get forward. It's a Wolfpack team that over the last 6 matches looks completely different. In the month of September, 5 results in 6 matches for Gary Higgins' side in his first year at the helm of the pack here in Raleigh, North Carolina. White jerseys for Wake Forest, the red for NC State. Really good crowd on hands. You see right behind the goal, fan section making a lot of noise. You've got some smoke going, Casey. You gotta love it here Thursday night in the ACC.
Well, this is what you want under the lights, to have your fans come out and support you, and so this will really help NC State here early on.
Pack pressing early, trying to find their footing. Here's Holt. Quick giveaway here and a foul called. It'll be against Wake Forest. It's 18, Allie Flanagan. Talking about Gary Higgins, and you see what he's been able to do, Casey, in his last 6 matches. He was pretty open and honest with us. He said it was demoralizing the first 6 matches to try and keep the locker room optimistic. He said, I've never had a losing season in my career, but we have found our footing. We have found ways to win, and this team believes right now as we try and instill a culture. Not a bad ball. Into that box. Pack looking pretty strong in the early going on their home turf.
When you mentioned Gary Higgins as well, it's really year 0 for him coming in. That's the way I tend to look at it, and you're just trying to implement your culture. But no one's going to remember the non-conference if you show up in ACC play, and they have certainly turned a corner there.
In that month of September, the momentum starting to build for the pack. Great results against Florida State and Virginia Tech. Notre Dame was able to score a goal in the last 5 minutes of that match. You see, offensively, they have been a different ball club over their last 6 matches.
Well, what that does when you play that well against top competition in the country, there's that belief that just is part of it after you're able to do it. So buy-in becomes so much easier for the players. And so they've certainly been able to do that, and not only from a physical standpoint, but from a mentality standpoint as well.
On the flip side, Tony DeLuise in his 29th season, Casey. That's a program fresh off of making the national title game. And while it's a new roster in many ways, they lost a lot of key talent. There's a culture that's building in Winston-Salem, right? And Tony DeLuise has a nice mixture of young talent with veterans who have been there and done that.
It was wonderful to see him reach the national championship final last year, and he was just so proud of that group. And he said he didn't know exactly how this year was going to go in the beginning, and he knew he was going to depend on freshman players to step up and players that maybe weren't depended on a lot last year necessarily. And they've answered the call so far in this season.
No doubt about that, having a player like Kylie Maxwell to go along with seniors like Hannah Johnson and Alex Wood. Tony DeLuise continued to just praise his team's character. Said we don't get fazed by anything. We're a group that's mature, that does everything the right way, has good leadership. And you can see that on the road over their last 9 contests. They've got 8 results away from Winston-Salem, and that is the epitome of culture, right? It's always a road trip that's made of business.
It can be incredibly hard to have consistency. That's what you're really striving for when you have any kind of roster, but definitely a young roster and a roster that's more inexperienced. And so to find that so quickly is a real credit to the staff and to the players.
He was overjoyed with the win at Duke last week. Said, I've only won 3 times ever in Durham. And so the comeback victory away from home fields against a good Blue Devils team that was in the top 15 signifies that Wake is ready to be an impact and a threat in the ACC yet again here this season. Best start since 2011 in ACC play. They've got 10 points on 4 results, including 3 victories. But it's going to come very difficult tonight against this NC State team who believes and understands what they want to do tactically under Gary Higgins. They have found leadership of their own, and they have proven to be a tough out for some of the league's best over the last month of the season.
Well, one thing we're seeing now, too, is that Wake Forest is known for their possession game, but they've also become quite comfortable out of possession as well. So we knew this would happen with North Carolina State being able to establish possession. Both of these teams want that. So that's why the middle third battle we talked about being really important. And so far, in these first 5 minutes, it's really been North Carolina State using the home advantage, the crowd behind them, trying to really imprint themselves on the game early. But Wake Forest is comfortable in sitting in that out of possession structure and waiting for their time.
Case, that's a perfect segue for me to ask you what you're looking for both of these teams here tonight.
Oh, man, I got ahead of you, Aria. I predicted what you were going to say. But, yeah, I think for Wake Forest, while they're comfortable out of possession, they don't sit back and they don't wait and they pick moments. So I think both of these teams have really cerebral coaches that have taught them how to manage moments of the game. So 10-minute periods here, 15-minute periods there. And we're seeing now that, that Wake Forest is being called on to defend a little bit, and that's okay.
Here's Holt. Touch into the path. The number 21, Mary Frances Sims, the junior from Gulfport, but just a bit heavy. That's Brooklyn Holtz, the captain. Senior from Wake Forest, North Carolina. And you see Mary Frances Sims there as well, number 21. But Brooklyn Holt, of course, famously the daughter of Pro Bowler and Super Bowl winner Torrey Holt of the St. Louis Rams, now the LA Rams. There's big game Torrey, look at him. Had a couple daughters who played for NC State. Brooklyn, whose sister Brianna also played for the Pack. But Torrey Holt, man, I'm telling you, one of the best receivers in ACC history and NFL history, 7-time Pro Bowler. I'm geeking out just on the call here.
It's great to see him there. He's playing the role of dad, though, tonight. I'm sure he loves nothing more than being able to come back to his alma mater, see his daughters compete, see Brooklyn compete tonight. But definitely fun to have him here.
So the Stars are in the house here for this matchup between the Pack and the Deacs. Wake Forest, number 12 in the country, 9 wins on the year, 2 draws as well. Only loss on the year is on the road at Mississippi State. And an NC State team, meanwhile, at home, 2-6-4. They've got 5 results in their last 6 matches as they figured themselves out under Gary Higgins in his first season. Should be a good one here.
And one of the things they're trying to figure out is when they are in possession, NC State, is how do they lure Wake Forest out of their defensive structure? And here there's a pressing moment where they're able to get it, but it's when they reestablish possession here and Wake Forest has that back line of 4 and they have 2 players right in front of it, they've got to change the point of attack. That's what they're trying to figure out here early, just to have them step out.
Who are some players, Casey, for NC State that will be instrumental in that switching the point of attack?
It's going to be Nakata and Wong in midfield and just the presence of when to go wide versus when to break the lines like they're doing here.
Good ball to Sims, first time cross, deflected out for a corner.
And that's what you need. You need that combination of when to break a line and go penetrate with your pass, and that's exactly what they did to Leidecker in that moment. That pulled players out, and now they're rewarded with the corner kick because of it.
It'll be Mana Nakata from the corner of flag. Nakata, sophomore from Osaka, Japan. Signals the drum roll and the delivery. To the back of that 6, trying to play it back across. A scrum there near the penalty spot. A lot of bodies going down. We've got a whistle. Is it a penalty given? Tonight, but it looked like he pointed to the spot and awarded a penalty.
Well, it certainly did, but there were a lot of players in and around that area, and it's such a consequential type of call. So you'll see the ball to the back post. It bounces down. Wake Forest lets it bounce a few times. So it's going to be about positioning there, and is the back leg taken out? You're going away from goal. It's Alex Moore that has the positioning, and she's using the aggressiveness of the defenders to take that foul, and it was Lola Wrestler that was coming from behind. I think it would be a pretty harsh call, but by letter of the law, they could if she makes contact with that right leg of Alex Moore. We'll take another look at it here. Lola wrestler right there. Alex Moore's smart to get her foot right in, and it's right there. It's the left leg of wrestler that does make contact with Moore.
Penalty indeed.
And I'm not surprised by that, just because that contact and the aggressiveness of it. It does not matter the context of if Moore was going to go to goal or not, or anything like that. You're inside the penalty area, you draw contact, penalty rewarded.
What a big moment early on in this match for the home side, the Pack. And it'll be Bordeleau, number 13, Jade Bordeleau, the junior, who's already converted on a PK once this season, that coming against Florida State a couple of weeks ago. And a card given to Tony DeLuz in the Wake bench.
Well done by Mackenzie Smith there. Well done by Mackenzie Smith there to hold on to the ball. It looked like she would take it. We all kind of knew it would be Bordeleau, but she keeps the attention away from her as she prepares.
It'll be Bordeleau against Valentina Amaral, an outstanding keeper for Wake in her sophomore season. She's allowed one PK goal so far this year. Bordeleau, her second penalty of the year as well. Fires it away, it's underneath Amaral and in the net. The Pack strike on their home pitch. They lead 1-0.
Well done by Jade Bordeleau. She keeps it low in this moment. She's enjoying the moment as well, but stepping up with such confidence to give NC State the lead at 1-0. You're going against a keeper in Valentina Amaral that it almost needs to be perfect. This time, it's not in a corner, but it just happens to dip down at the right moment. Getting a little lucky there as Amaral actually over dives in this moment, but it doesn't matter as long as it goes in. This is how we got there. It's right there on the right leg of Alex Moore. A pretty clear penalty, an unfortunate one if you're a Wake Forest fan, but I think the refereeing crew gets it right and Bordeleau puts it away.
7th goal of the year for Bordeleau, her 13th of her career at NC State. Gary Higgins talked about how big of a deal it was to keep Jade Bordeleau in Raleigh and out of the portal. What a ball there, Bordeleau! She's got two! And it's a dream start for the Pack at home.
My goodness, this is absolutely wonderful build-up play from NC State. They're finding their way in the middle third, playing in combination with one another, and they're absolutely loving it, the fans. This is great one-touch play, and a run right behind the back shoulder of Dempsey Brown. She takes the first touch. That's what draws Amaral in, so this is a perfectly textured ball. The first touch to set up the angle. You don't finish it any more textbook than that. It could not be better from Jade Bordeleau for the second goal.
And you want energy, you got energy tonight in Raleigh.
Put him in the bucket, will ya?
Casey, the Pack is howling. You can hear it over the intercom there in the PA system at Dale. How about this NC State team who has believed under Gary Higgins? They have really bought into the culture he's tried to build, and this is as good of a start as you can ask for.
They're certainly growing in confidence. You can see it in the way they're playing between the boxes, and they're pressing with confidence right there. Amaral has to get rid of it quickly. But then when you start to have the finishing efficiency piece, when you add those together, you can be a team that competes in this conference, and you can tell they're starting to believe it, not only being able to finish, but just their mentality as well.
Like you said, what a ball from Duda. And 38 seconds between the goals for Bordeleau. What a shot there. That's going to go for a corner. Important moment for Wake. Bending in. Protopis, the captain, able to punch it away. Wake starting to find some grounds. Cross deflected out. Corner. Number 2 coming for the Deeks. This is better from Wake Forest.
Well, they're going to be looking for rotations in the wide area. Lola Wrestler gets out there and plays in combination with Kylie Maxwell. We just saw the shot from Kylie Maxwell. Wake Forest will grow into this game, so now it's going to be about the defensive effort.
Punched away again off the corner. Holt clears it out. Casey, from your playing career, when you get punched in the mouth this early, this quickly, what are some of the keys? What are some of the steps to trying to calm yourself and get back into the match?
Well, previously to the second goal, it would have been just managing those next few minutes, but then they gave up that goal so quickly that now these next 5 are really important. So you have someone on the field that has to be organizing them, but also you need the emotional management piece. Use the frustration to be a catalyst to develop yourself in this game. So whether that starts with pressing like they are now or someone putting their foot on the ball, that's going to be important, because if NC State gets another goal, that's where the game can be really hard to manage.
Well, the Deeks, they're going to have their medal tested here. Started enjoying more of the ball over the last few moments. And now here's NC State. Whistle there, foul. I want to remind you that women's sports take over the afternoon every Sunday right here on ACC Network. This week we start at noon Eastern with volleyball. Number 5 Pitt hosts Georgia Tech. Then we have a soccer doubleheader. Cal SMU at 2 and number 19 North Carolina hosting Pitt. Should be a great afternoon of matches. Casey, I know you're going to have that Carolina match against Pitt. What are you looking forward to there?
Well, both teams desperately need a win if they want to be more towards the top of the ACC. So I just think it's a mentality piece as well. You know me, I normally go tactics and what that matchup's going to look like. But I think it's about just figuring out how to get a win, no matter what it looks like for both groups. So one of the things I think for Wake Forest to consider is, we talked to Tony DeLuce about it. He said scoring early was big and important for them as this ball gets played in. But he thought that because of NC State being able to sit defensively very well, he felt they needed to score early. Now they're down by 2 goals for the first time all season. And so they're going to have to go back to their possession game, getting on the ball, moving the ball, and trying to pull NC State out of there.
You saw Sierra Scythe getting forward right on the wing there from her left back position. She could be a key here, as Tony DeLuce basically told us there were ways they felt on the width that they could find some success against NC State.
They want to pull them out of those areas because that's where their strength is in the 1v1 isolations, through Maxwell, through Scythe, and through Flanagan. But so far, they've only been able to do that once. It has to start with possession first. And if you're not able to do it out of your own possession, then you've got to win it back.
Bordeleau chasing it right before the end line, able to get there. Cross towards that spot. Oh boy, Amaral had to come up big, and she did. Clean off her line. You saw on your screen the first time all season Wake has trailed by 2 goals.
This is good, though, from Wake Forest. When you've been hit like they have in these first 15 minutes, you just want to settle in, get a few touches. So as a player moving the ball, and you don't want to give it away cheaply in those moments, because State looks really good when they're in possession and going forward with a lot of confidence.
On the ball there was Duda. She has an assist tonight on that second goal. Now 27, Mackenzie Smith playing it direct. Dempsey Brown having to play center back tonight from her normal center defensive mid position. Wake will be without Talia Zadean.
And that is a difference. NC Brown has done this a lot, both last year and this year, but they are a stronger team when she's in midfield. And when Talia Zadion's able to be in the back line, it's just a stronger spine through the middle for Wake Forest. So it does change things a little bit, but certainly a very capable player on the back line as well, and one of the leaders of this group.
Zadion out tonight with a hamstring injury that she picked up in the last couple of days, so some tactical adjustments made by Tony DeLuz. Here's Johnson on the touch, plays it wide. Out for a throw for NC State. What do you think's going through the mind of Gary Higgins right now, Casey?
Well, I've spoken a lot to Gary Higgins through the years, and he definitely will be happy right now, but he's thinking about the next thing. He knows that they have to keep going. They have to keep trying to score goals because Wake Forest is a program with sustained success. They've had a great year, so he'll not be satisfied until it hits the 90th minute mark, for sure.
This team's putting some pressure again in Wake Forest half. Captain Brooklyn Holt on the throw, playing in game number 60 of her career. Long, turning it inside, met by a sea of white. Dispossession there. NC State trying to get their footing, but Wake Forest comes away with it.
And you can see that Wake Forest wants to recycle play a little bit. They've had a lot of this time that they have been out of possession, so they're moving the ball. What they can do is they can continue to move it side to side. That will shift State more on the horizontal side, but then there's got to be moments where they're looking to break lines as well behind the midfield group. So if Lola Ressler can get on it a little bit higher, or even Kylie Maxwell and Allie Flanagan in the wide spaces, they can isolate a little bit more 1v1 and make State uncomfortable potentially.
In the build-up now for Wake.
Well, that's better rotation right there because you can see Brooke Miller getting a lot higher as the outside back, and it allows Kylie Maxwell 1v1.
Towards the end line on the cross, dangerous ball, nearly in the net. What a save by Protopis, sprawling out and grabbing the ball with her left hand.
This was much closer than it actually looked because it looked like Protopis was thrown off a little bit by that, but it all came from the build-up play and rotations in midfield. Carly Wilson actually got really wide. It allowed Brooke Miller to get higher, and they want to isolate Flanagan and Maxwell. That's exactly what they did, and it's their best opportunity.
Gary Higgins was telling us about Protopis and the senior year that she's had, the captain who has embodied everything the Wolfpack want from a culture standpoint, from a leadership standpoint. But she got off to a rough start, and she lost her starting spot. But she showed up every day supporting her teammates, continued to mentally be there, to be encouraging. And they decided to go back to Protopis, and she's taken the bull by the horn, so to speak, Casey, and done a nice job for the Pack in the net.
It's always nice from a character perspective to have that kind of leadership when it's not necessarily going your way as an individual, and you don't always get rewarded of getting your starting position back necessarily, but things happen and she was able to get back in there, and she came back more resilient, a little bit more focused, and in better form now than she was earlier in the season, and it's certainly helping NC State. And Kylie Maxwell just going in the wide area. She's at her best when she puts her heads down and goes. Scythe was in there, almost was able to get something on it. That's your left back joining the attack. And the amount of ground that Scythe covers is just unbelievable, going up and down the flanks from a defensive standpoint, but also being able to get herself in the box for opportunities.
Wolfpack program that as Gary Higgins takes the reins, talked about the trifecta. What a bad ball there. Oh, Emerald was able to get it out of the box. Oh, Wake Forest. Some nervy moments there in the back.
And that's what they don't need to happen. Brooke Miller just had no idea that Jade Bordeleau was just hanging right on the restraining line, looking for that back pass, and it put Emerald in a very tough position.
It is a spirited effort here for NC State, Casey, as we look at this one again.
And it came off Maxwell, and it's just Brooke Miller. Looks like she wants to go outside, sees the pressure of Duda, but then Bordeleau steps right away. If Bordeleau leaves her feet right there, I think she might be able to get a touch on it, but she just doesn't time it perfectly. Emerald does well. She is known for being good with her feet and calm under pressure, and she needed it in that moment.
Bordeleau now with a goal in 4 consecutive matches. She has been a menace for NC State. Gary Higgins telling us he really feels like she's all ACC caliber. And he said if we can get her service and be able to provide her with the ball, she has more than enough finishing quality to be one of the best strikers in this league.
And what I like about her game, of course she has the stats as well, but you rely on your 9 to set the pressure and to be able to press from high. And you saw it in that moment. When she does that, it just inspires the rest of the team to close the lines, close the gaps, and be able to press as well. So the defensive side she also brings.
Saw on your screen there, Daisy Duda was exiting with a bit of a knock. Was limping towards that bench. Erica Roberts, number 7, will come in. Good ball played. Maxwell trying to turn. Pair of defenders converge on her, and they clear it away. Now a ball direct towards the edge of that 18. Angling for a shot going down.
The spaces are really tight there from NC State. They're back pressing well. You saw Erica Roberts coming back just entering the game, being able to create a 2v1 advantage on the defensive side and then in midfield for Wong as well. As Wake Forest gets more into this game and starts to commit more numbers forward, that defensive effort and presence is going to be vital to try to keep the 2-goal lead.
Dawkins angling there in the midfield, didn't like what she had going forward, drops it back to Brown. Now Dinatali.
You can see that State's in this mid-block where they feel very comfortable defending. Closest player goes to pressure the ball. That's going to make Wake Forest defenders have to probe and have to dribble in order to break it down. So NC State will be fine with all of this around the back because it makes the center backs of Dinatali and Brown be the playmakers. And so we'll see them on the ball quite a bit. As long as it's behind them, then NC State feels good.
Lane Dinatali, the senior from Locust Valley, New York. Out wide is here, Scythe 19, another captain on this Wake Forest team. 5th in the NCAA in assists. She's got 8 of them so far this season. But the pressure from NC State right now, especially sitting in that mid-block, they're triggering and causing some issues here for Wake Forest, who hasn't been able to enjoy being on the ball as much as they'd like.
And that's certainly something Tony DeLuce is going to be watching, is what are those triggers that's causing them to step, because they are looking to jump in those wide areas and apply pressure to Brooke Miller, to Sierra Scythe. So I think there's going to be some adjustments at halftime. A lot of time still left in this first half where the players are going to have to figure it out on the field. But when we spoke to Tony DeLuce, he said they have to bypass that first block into those areas in the central of midfield to be able to spring the wide spaces. So that's the part they're going to try to get involved with.
Wrestler dispossessed by Wong. Now the pack in transition. Not on the same page with Bordeleau. Here's our Week 6 ACC and Network Saturday football lineup. At noon Eastern, Pitt hosts BC, then it's Cuse and SMU. And then we'll cap the night with a field pass presentation of number 3 Miami and number 18 Florida State. That should be a great matchup with sideline commentary at 7:30 Eastern. All 3 games are also available on the all-new ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Wood in for Hannah Johnson. So a senior for a senior. For Tony DeLuz, Wood scored in the last match against Duke. She leveled the game in the second half in Durham. A lot of time left here for Wake Forest, but NC State has thrown the first 2 punches of this matchup in Raleigh. Casey, that's a tough way, right, to start any match if you're the road team, giving up a penalty in the first 10 minutes. But then the second goal comes right on the back of that 38 seconds later, and now you're in a pretty big hole.
And I don't want to understate how much a penalty kick call or even a goal can change the game, because it certainly can. But NC State has looked good throughout this first half. It wasn't just because they got that goal. To follow up as quickly as they did was really impressive, and they've also controlled the majority of the half.
Bordeleau on your screen just a moment ago. She's got 2 goals. That's Brooklyn Holt, number 20.
Well done by Wong there in midfield. She does give it up eventually, but I like that her comfortability for such a young player on the ball in midfield. She has a really good 360 vision of pressure and how to get out, and that's really helped in midfield so far tonight.
Aoki switching the point of attack. Here to Mary Frances Sims, 1v1. Going up against Sierra Scythe, and Scythe wins the battle. Telling us of Brooklyn Holtz that she cares so much about NC State. Obviously, her family connections there. Named a captain this season alongside Olivia Pritopoulos. Big tackle there from Aoki. Springs NC State forward. Some speed to Byrne. Roberts crossing towards that near post. Took a wicked hop. It'll be a goal kick as Emerald let it fly. If you're just joining us, you missed a lot. A brace from Bordeleau so far in this one has NC State riding high, and it started with a PK here in the first 10 minutes of the match.
Alex Moore was able to draw the penalty. It was a harsh one there, but they were able to take advantage with Bordeleau. But this was a thing of beauty as Duda gets the ball in the half space, is able to play the ball to Jade Bordeleau for 2 goals in just a matter of minutes.
Some really good notes from our talent stats. Matt Segal tonight, 2 goals for Bordeleau. And she has half of NC State's total goals on the year. 8 of the total 16 that the Pack have scored. Casey, get this. She's got 8 goals on 16 shots. Talk about efficiency. Typically, Bordeleau puts it on frame, and typically it finds the back of the net.
But you definitely give yourself a chance, don't you? Get it on frame. That's what all the coaches are saying out there. Youth coaches, college coaches, pro coaches. Give yourself a chance or give your team a chance, whether yours goes in or not. And she certainly has that finishing efficiency. And you need that when you are starting off with a new program as Gary Higgins is. You need one of those players that can do it in vital moments to give yourself that belief, give your team that belief, and be able to push forward.
Maybe Taryn Chance can inject some belief here into Wake as we approach halftime. Casey, how big would just getting 1 goal back before half, before the locker room break, be for Wake Forest?
it changes the entire trajectory of the game if they are able to do that. And I would certainly think that Gary Higgins is talking to his players about how not good that would be for NC State to be able to concede at this point. If you go into halftime with a 2-goal lead, you just feel so much better and you keep that momentum going. Wake Forest, I do think, though, has so much talent that if they can get on the ball a little bit more, there's moments.
Bordeleau shoulder to shoulder. Into the box, Bordeleau the cross. It's blocked, out of bounds.
Bordelau's just been unbelievable. She has been so great. She's all over the place from a defensive standpoint, a work ethic standpoint, and she just wins the individual battle here. That's not a foul. It's shoulder to shoulder. She's stronger in that moment. She decides to lift it there, isn't able to pick out a player, but wonderful play to earn the corner kick.
She's given those fans something to cheer about so far tonight. The energy palpable here in Raleigh. Another corner coming for NC State. A little too physical there. And a foul call to Mike Studd, the ref. Wake still looking for their first shot on goal here on the night on the road. Chance in a foot race with Holt. Holt does well, gets positioning, lets the ball roll out for a throw.
And you start to just look at body language as well. When Brooklyn Holt goes to that ball, just comfortable to take her time a little bit. Players don't do that, that don't feel confident, that don't feel comfortable. And NC State has earned that in this first half. And I expect Wake Forest to continue to grow into the game a little bit, but also because State has earned the right to dictate it out of possession by staying in their mid-block and trying to counterattack for that third goal.
Cross there to the near post. It'll be a corner. Took a deflection. Kylie Maxwell, you see her there, putting her influence on the match here. So much speed for that freshman. Scythe towards that penalty spot, headed out. Now Wilson. One-time cross. Shot here, oh, just over the bar. It might have skimmed the side of the net as well. Wake was close there from Maxwell.
What you notice about Kylie Maxwell's game, we were looking at it earlier, you've seen it tonight, she just has a knack for being in the right place at the right time, but that's not by accident. She's watching service, she's on her toes, she's ready to go. She just hits this ball as it's bouncing up rather than letting it drop. You'll see the ball bounce up just a little bit right at the end, and that's why she's not able to get over it. But her positioning and her understanding of where to be in the penalty area is really something that sets her apart.
From Langhorne, Pennsylvania, the Gatorade Player of the Year in that state in high school. Has a twin sister, Taylor Maxwell, who plays for Miami in the ACC. So a family affair in every way in this league for the Maxwell family.
And they matched up just a couple weeks ago, and Wake Forest was the 3-1 victor in that game. But two really good players. They weren't matched up against one another, actually, on the field, but definitely their teams going at it.
Casey, did you see that little guy there at the bottom of your screen, the bottom left corner? He looked so friendly, trying to tell you how you can watch the ESPN app. They're calling him Appy, I've been told. Ball played into the box. It'll be a throw for Wake. Finding some opportunities are the Deacons. It is knocked out. It'll be a goal kick. That was Alex Wood trying to find her footing and find an angle for a shot.
It's nice to see Alex Wood back in for Wake Forest. She's had some injury issues and hasn't been able to play a ton so far in this year, but she's starting to get into form. She goes in the isolation. She's strong up top, and she just continues with the play. As Mackenzie Smith comes over, she does get a boot on it right at the end for it to go across for a goal kick. But that combination of her and Johnson, they can sub in for each other as they build back to 90-minute fit, can be really good for Wake Forest when they're playing well.
Bordeleau trying to outmaneuver a pair of deep defenders. She does win a throw-in. That's the veteran there, number 25, Sophie Bearcloth, grad student from Winston-Salem. She's got the captain's armband on tonight as well. Sims able to flip her hips towards the net. Hammerall does well. Dale Soccer Stadium here tonight on this Thursday evening. ACC Network in-state battle. Aria Masudi, Casey White. It's been Jade Bordeleau's 2 goals that has the pack riding a wave of momentum at home. Can Wake Forest find something here in the final 9 minutes and change? Casey, how do you evaluate the first 35 minutes or so of this one?
Wake Forest looks really disjointed at times, but you have to give credit to what NC State is doing. Their defensive block, their defensive shape is really good, but they're not just sitting in it. They're picking the right moments, the cues to step and press, whether it's a bad touch, a backwards pass, a sideways pass. They look very well oiled in that defensive structure to aid with what they did early on in their possession game.
Antonella Mazziotto in for Leidecker. It was Mazziotto who had the game-tying goal on the road in Blacksburg. Under 10 seconds to play in that one, and she found the goal, escaping out of Virginia Tech with a point.
And it was an unbelievable finish. They had to really just hit it up there and hope that it got to a player. But when it got to her, it was not a goal that was lucky by any means. Took a great first touch to prep it, was able to finish low and hard to the far post. And that can be hard as a sub coming into games and having to step up in critical moments, but she certainly did.
Casey, you can feel this NC State team, right? The belief growing each and every match. With the start they had again here tonight against Wake Forest. Gary Higgins implanting a culture, implanting a day-to-day process. And he talked about the trifecta, right? Competitiveness, tactical discipline, and moments of quality. And he broke it down for us on that 3-pronged system. And he said competitiveness has to be #1. And he feels like they've had that throughout the year, even in the first 6 matches when the results weren't there. But now the quality of play is starting to match the tenacity and effort, and you're starting to get tangible results on the field.
100%, and Gary Higgins is a competitor himself. Anyone that's ever spoken to him knows that he does not like to lose. He wants to win and create that competitive environment, but he's also known for his tactics and how he can shape teams to really make it hard for their opposition. He did it at East Carolina, was able to win the American Championship last year, and you can already see with NC State that they look very structured, and then they're starting to grow into games and get more goals, and so he's just starting to build that, and it's starting to take shape.
And he joked with us earlier this week. He said, I was a bit naive in the first few matches. I thought, you know, let's open up. Let's go toe for toe, and we conceded a lot of goals. They've been a little bit more tactically sound. It's a nice job there from Protopis to come out way out of the box and clear it away. But to be fair, it's not like they sit in a low block defensively by any means and then build into the game. We saw it from the start today. They were the ones dictating possession. It just looks like it's very intentional and that they understand moments and blocks of the game in different phases. So they came out to dictate play, and they were rewarded with 2 goals. So now they've earned the right to be able to go into a mid-block shape and really try to make Wake Forest come at them and see what they have. And so they can manipulate between those 2 types of play. Under 6 to play in the first half. NC State leading by 2-0 over Wake. Jade Bordeleau, she's got a brace here tonight. Goals number 7 and 8 on the season to lead the pack. The Japanese international in her 27th game at NC State, usually goes all 90. She will hand it off and let her teammate throw the ball in. There's Erica Roberts on the throw.
And now when you're managing these last 5 minutes or so, if you're Wake Forest, you're trying to get as many numbers forward. You're not trying to rush it. You're just trying to pull players out of that back line. And how you do that is put players in front of it and play those penetrating balls to break lines in, or the speed of play has to move quickly. And if you're NC State, as a player, as a staff, you're just thinking, don't do anything silly these last few minutes. Be smart about your clearances and winning those battles individually.
Faircloth, service into the box. Dangerous here for the Deacons. They're pushed back. Now Wilson. Direct yet again. Dealt with. Out of the sky. And now Maciotto. Dawkins cuts it back. The Wake Forest team averaging nearly 16 shots per game over their last 4 matches, and just 2 so far here in the first half. On the road in Raleigh, none on goal. Cross towards that penalty spot. Chance. Turning. Had some helium in it. I want to remind you that Saturday morning, the ACC Huddle crew will be in Tallahassee at Doak Campbell Stadium to get you ready for another full day of football with a 2-hour pregame show. They'll have game previews along with expert analysis and featured stories right here on ACCN and the all-new ESPN app. Gearing up for a little Knowles and Canes. The 70th time those two in-state foes will meet on the gridiron from Doak Campbell Stadium. That'll be a fun one Saturday night on ABC.
Now these are critical moments here from a defensive standpoint, and Wake Forest looking to play quickly. That really establishes their possession. It doesn't allow NC State to get back into their shape, and they're able to gain ground.
Wake looking to find one right before this halftime whistle. On the cross. Another ball service. Oh, there it is! It finds the net. Wake cuts the lead in half. That is Eliana Ramirez and the Deacons. They find one before that halftime whistle.
And Wake Forest has to be thrilled about this and the timing of it going into halftime, but also the battle that it took to generate second and third chances to be even able to set this up. The service goes in initially. There's good box organization from State, but it's a 2v2 at the back post, and Eliana Ramirez just beats Brooklyn Holt to the ball. She sees it, she reads it incredibly well, and uses the pace of it just to flick it on, goes right into the side netting to cut the lead.
That was Dawkins, a terrific delivery, and Eliana Ramirez, the freshman, her first career goal as a Demon Deacon, has Wake Forest back in it. The U20 Mexican Youth International finding a way. How about this life that she's injected into Wake right before halftime?
Well, no better feeling than the first goal. You don't forget the first goal, that's for sure, of your collegiate career. And so really nice from her, but also in this setting as well, it means so much because of the momentum that can give Wake Forest, and where they just kept plugging away, but now they were able to reap their reward. They will go into halftime feeling much better than the 2-goal deficit that they've had the majority of this half.
There's a foul, final 40 seconds here in this first half. We'll have Gary Higgins on the mic here at the end of the half, so you want to stay right there and hear the thoughts of the NC State headman's first year in Raleigh, leading Wake Forest, but one last gasp, perhaps for the Deacs here in this opening stanza. Faircloth. Little knuckleball towards that box. Chance fouls with 8. Can Wake Forest hustle? They're going to stop the clock with 5 seconds. So the Deacons will get one final shot at this.
Well, that's where game management is important. It does. Game management is important. If you don't knock that ball away, I don't know if our clock is stopped here at this moment. But yes, you have to get this on frame.
Just over 5 seconds. It's the captain, Sierra Scythe. Towards that penalty spot, it's loose. But the Pack, they're going to escape out of that one. What a compelling first 45 minutes here between NC State and in favor of NC State. What do you make of this next 45 minutes in Raleigh?
I think NC State has to start quickly again because they don't have that 2-goal cushion, and because Wake Forest went into halftime, they're going to have to make sure they're ready to go early on.
There's a whistle there. Was there a handball? I think the answer is yes. The question now becomes, was it in the box or right at the edge of that 18?
And again, Wake Forest is trying to flip the script. They go early into their attacking third right here outside of the box, a couple yards there as Alex Moore steps to condense the space. But this will be a free kick in a very dangerous situation. They'll want to make sure this wall is set properly, as Protopis is really intentional about that right now.
Sierra Scythe. She stands over the ball, about 19 or 20 yards from goal. It's Scythe on net into that wall. Follow up just over the ball there for Dawkins.
And Scythe does get a little bit of this, but going right into the wall as Duda blocks it, and then Dawkins coming up for the opportunity, but she lifts it high, doesn't take it with her laces, should probably get over this ball. Well done, though, by the NC State defense, making sure it's organized and reacting to the second chance opportunity. But, Aria, we heard it from Gary Higgins, the last 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes, every coach is going to say that all the time, and Wake Forest made them very uncomfortable within a minute of play.
Yeah, that middle 10 so important. And Wake Forest has found momentum. That goal might have been a big difference maker here tonight in terms of just leveling the emotions and calming the storm. Poor touch there from Scythe, and it'll be an NC State throw.
We mentioned kind of settling down the storm as well, especially when you're playing against a team like NC State, who's still working on that belief and can they play at the highest level of ACC, and they're starting to prove that they can, where Wake Forest has had more accomplished in this short season so far. And so the mentality piece is important. Yes, tactics and how you deal with it, but the mentality piece of these first 10 minutes of this half, vitally important to both groups.
Casey, give me a player on each team that you're keeping the spotlight on here in this final 45 minutes.
I don't think I can say anyone but Jade Bordeleau, because she could be a difference maker of just one opportunity, get that extra cushion again. I will say Alex Moore as well, just leading the back line for NC State and making sure that they stay really compact, both horizontally and vertically, keeping the spaces tight as they protect this lead. For Wake Forest on the other side, I think it's a matter of getting Allie Flanagan and Kylie Maxwell more isolated in 1v1 situations. There's a lot of different patterns in how they can do that, but ultimately they need to get on the ball.
Or giveaway, and now the pack in transition. Down that left flank. Speed burst from Duda, onto her right, continues to angle. Nakata turning, curling a shot, diving stop. That's Emerald.
Well, I know Duda didn't hear me, but she said, watch me go 1v1 isolation the opposite way. Really took a lot of space there. Really good from NC State. And Gary Higgins mentioned it, that he thought they got a little bit too low in their defensive structure and invited pressure the last 10, 15 minutes or so. So that's that ebb and flow that you have to figure out. And I like seeing that NC State is going forward, still looking to score goals. It's very hard to sit in a mid block, a low block for 45 minutes against a team like Wake Forest, who loves to possess.
Tony DeLuz talks about the depth and the brutality of the ACC. Oh, near giveaway again, and Emerald had to come up huge, able to just clear that ball out. My goodness, there's a couple of times tonight this Deacons team playing it back towards the keeper has not been crisp.
The positive to them playing back to Emerald is that they trust their goalkeeper with their feet, but NC State has obviously been well versed that this could happen.
Corner coming for the pack. Emerald from Oviedo, Florida, in that Orlando area, sophomore. It was so good for Wake Forest last season on their run to the national championship game. Nakata, it'll be a lefty in-swinging ball, plays it short, hole. The pack had drawn something up, but it was sniffed out by the Deacons.
Really well defended, and it was just a counterattack waiting to happen with where that was turned over. But luckily for NC State, they did have players behind the ball in their rest defense and some defensive countermeasures to make sure it didn't turn into a counterattack. But those are opportunities really important, especially when you're trying to extend the lead.
Brown knocking it forward, Dawkins.
Well, that's a good rotation right there. That's a great rotation from Sophie Fairclough, getting higher. That's what we want to see from Wake Forest from a tactical perspective, is getting into the wide space with a midfielder. That allows you to get more numbers forward as Sierra Scythe gets in.
Scythe onto her right foot, cross, oh, had a runner. Still with the Wake. On that turn, deflected for a corner.
Well, it's really nice because Scythe has come over to this right side, the exclusion of Brooke Miller to start this half with Sophie Fairclough off the left. So a little bit of a different look, her coming from the opposite side. Now the defenders for NC State off their right side have to be prepared for those types of services that she'll surely put into the penalty area.
Scythe, who battled injury in her career, missed the 23 season. Went from a winger to a right back. Last year for Wake Forest. Good ball on the corner. Headed away. Dawkins presses Wong Lets it roll out for a Demon Deacons throw. Cross. And cleared away.
These are the moments of possession that are important. You want to get your midfielders on the ball, or your center backs really need to probe and move the ball. So there, that ball isn't a bad look, but what you want to do is dribble, because it draws a player out of NC State. That allows gaps and pockets to be filled by more attacking players that can get on the ball and have more space.
Duda plays it forward. Lidecker drops it back to Holtz. Switch the point. Aoki finding a pocket of space to Duda, the freshman. Nakata angling, terrific 1v1 play. Great combo from the pack as well.
That was really nice. You could see it. Nakata really wanted to get that one back, just not able to quite connect. But like seeing that creativity in the final third, that's what it takes, is that play and go, play and move, and that can really unlock defenses.
Through ball, hold, overlapping run, able to play it across Emerald there.
Play right in behind, and you can see multiple runs going. That's what makes it hard for defenses, because it wasn't just Brooklyn Holt who gets on the end of this cross as Amaral is able to collect it, but there's also Lidecker coming through. That's what causes center backs and outside backs to make decisions that can then open up runs for other players.
There's Alex Moore, able to clear it out. Into the path of Scythe. 1v1, Scythe angling, dancing with the ball. On the cross, the runner didn't quite catch it clean. As Protopis is there, but that was terrific from Wake Forest.
It was really nice playing the 1v1. They're starting to figure out how to isolate a little bit more, and it's because the speed of play has increased. But anytime you get Scythe on the ball in a 1v1 situation, she has the deception to be able to create that extra half yard of space that you need to be able to play it in. This ball's really dangerous because it's right into the middle of the 6-yard box. Good marking, though, on the backside area by Mary Frances Sims. She comes across in front to apply the pressure.
Women's sports take over the afternoon every Sunday right here on ACC Network. This week we start at noon Eastern with volleyball as number 5 Pitt hosts Georgia Tech, and then we've got a soccer doubleheader. Cal SMU at 2 and 19th ranked North Carolina hosting Pitt in Chapel Hill. See Aoki slow to get up as things heat up in this conference, Casey, and at the top, it's been the Irish, the Cardinal, and the Noles. Wake Forest right there with those 10 points as well. Virginia, Louisville. How about the Cardinals finding themselves here in 2025, but that NC State team hanging tough, especially over the last 6 contests.
Well, they would certainly like to muddy the waters a little bit, make less of a gap in those top spots, because it's so incredibly tight in the top 7 right now. But we come to expect that in the ACC, just how one game can really change everything. But still quite a few teams in SMU, North Carolina, Duke, Pitt looking for 3 points to try to get into that top group.
Casey, I'm not used to seeing Carolina and Duke that low on the ACC standings. I think a testament to the depth of the league yet again here in 2025.
It absolutely is, and both of those teams are in a bit of unfamiliar territory. And I would have to say, even with Duke this year, how they started the year as well, it's been a bit of a surprise to see that happen. North Carolina had a few warning signs, but Duke really didn't, and they've had to figure out how to get that next win.
It's a Wake Forest team that ends the year against Notre Dame and Florida State, so the Deacons will see both the Irish and the Noles. In this league, Casey, 7 programs in the top 15 of the NCAA RPI. It feels like most of the quarterfinal round is littered with ACC teams each and every year. I mean, pretty much the entire College Cup last year was ACC teams.
It was, and that's why you talk about non-conference play and how you prep yourself for the ACC, but playing in the ACC preps you for the NCAA tournament, and you're battle-tested going into those games, and that's why you see so many have success going through the NCAA tournament, and last year culminating in all 4 being from the Atlantic Coast Conference was pretty amazing.
Wilson on the ball now.
What we're seeing, Aria, is that Wake Forest is pressing a lot higher. That's allowing them to get the ball higher up the field. They were a lot lower in the first half, and now they're able to get numbers forward.
Service towards that penalty spot, a foot on the ball, but into the hands of Pratapis. That was Alex Wood, the senior.
And that's what you talk about as being box dangerous. And Wake Forest really wasn't that box dangerous in the first half. And already in this first 12 minutes, they have entered their penalty area on the attacking side 7 times compared to NC State's 4 times. So you can already see the intentionality with what they're doing, trying to go forward, whether it's long service, whether it's 1v1 or combination play. There's more assertiveness going into that final third for them.
Nakata with almost a perfect ball to Roberts. Perhaps just a touch too much weight. Miss hit there. Holt trying to play sweeper and does. Able to avert a disaster there as Wake Forest had numbers swarming to the ball.
And Wake Forest is using their defensive effort to be able to make NC State a little bit more uncomfortable. And when we talk about those box entries, you think, well, the game dictates it. They are down. They have to go forward, and NC State doesn't have to. But if it were that simple, it would have happened in the first half. You can see that there's a change in their desire to defend higher up the field. There's tactical changes that Tony DeLuce has made, bringing Allie Flanagan a little bit more inside defensively. So when they win it, they have numbers around the ball to get forward and to be more dangerous.
How do you counter that if you're NC State?
The ball has to move very quickly in possession, so they have to either move it quick side to side to escape that pressure, or they can release in some more direct play with purpose. So if Bordeleau sees that it might make sense to check a little to the ball and then turn and go, they can look to play a little bit longer. But it's really hard to figure that out in the run of play, and that's why you have that advantage at halftime.
Fairclough to Wood, playing it forward. Maxwell. Flag stays down. Well, now there is a whistle. Flag just took its time going up.
Well, early in the season with Kylie Maxwell, she did play in this 7 roll off the right side a lot. She looks to get in. We'll take a look at it. Full yard offside in this moment. But I would want my forwards testing the back line, and they'll eventually get the timing right. So if I'm Tony DeLuce, I'm happy with that. But what we saw earlier in the season with Kylie Maxwell was a little bit more of the inside to outside runs down the flank, but I like her cutting in towards goal there.
Here come the Pack in transition towards that middle, cleared out. Scythe got there right before Roberts, who got a foot on the ball as well. Raucous crowd here tonight at Dale Soccer Stadium. Nice hold up play by Wood. But Wake not able to do anything with the possession. A missed touch there from Scythe on a heavy pass. Has the Pack with the ball on a throw.
These are interesting moments. This middle 15-minute block is interesting because you have to meet the intentionality of what Wake Forest is bringing you, but you can also relax in certain moments where it does go out of bounds like they did just a second ago. And so you want to take the air out of games in certain moments, but you also can't sit back and just allow Wake Forest to dictate if you're NC State. So far they've done a pretty good job of it, but I think they're going to have to withstand a lot of this attack, and anything they can get going forward will just allow their back line to breathe a little bit more.
NC State. Aria Masudi, Casey White here on this Thursday night at Dale Soccer Stadium. Our entire crew on ACC Network. A terrific matchup between NC State and 12th ranked Wake Forest. Bordeleau, 2 goals so far tonight, has NC State on top.
Good battle between Carly Wilson and Bordeleau. Just both teams absolutely trying to dictate play, using everything they can. Bordeleau called for it there, but you like seeing that from both teams and how much it means.
An NC State team who doesn't mind playing physically. The part of the creed that Gary Higgins wants to instill in this Pack program, a tenacity. Casey, he literally told us earlier this week, he said, I want, if teams have any success against us, to have to scratch and claw and have residue between their fingernails after they're done with us.
Well, winning is a mentality, and if there's something you can control, coaches always talk about you can control your fitness level, that's work rate, you got to get after it, and you can control your mentality, you can control your competitiveness and make it really hard to play against. Your technique might be off one day, your tactics might not work, there might be bad calls, like there might be so many things, but that's the one thing that you know you can bring day in and day out, and that can build a winning program.
Through ball, terrific. Shot saved by Quintopus, denies Maxwell. See, in this second half, Wake Forest has found some different ways to open up the NC State defense. Maxwell across. That's going to get all the way through.
Well, one of those different ways is that Maxwell's going more of that outside to in run, and so now defenders aren't sure which direction she's going to go. And I think having Sierra Scythe on her side has really opened things up for her. Brooke Miller can attack as well, but Scythe gets in a really advanced position at times, and then that allows Kylie Maxwell to float in different spaces. And so now you're making a backline make decisions. Is she going to go central, or is she going to stay more in an isolated wide area? When defenders start to think like that, you can catch them off guard, and she's starting to do that.
Maxwell, who has been an immediate impact upon arriving on campus. Tony DeLue's telling us she's as good defensively in the press, as good out wide as she is up top. And he said, we knew she'd be pretty good, but she has surpassed expectations in her first year.
And with a player like Kylie Maxwell, as this game starts to open up, that's something that I know Gary Higgins wouldn't necessarily want it to be really wide open, because you have players like Flanagan and Maxwell that can expose you in those wide spaces. So if they can manage this middle 15 minutes, I would expect it to be a little bit tighter defensively the last 15.
Dawkins through the middle. Plays it to the feet of Wood. This shot not spilled by Protopis.
This is well played by State here, just establishing a little possession. We haven't seen as much of this in the second half, but if they can keep the ball a little bit and bypass the press of Wake Forest, there are opportunities for them to get in the half space, which is right in front of the back line of Wake Forest, and get some more opportunities to play in behind.
Scythe. There towards Flanagan. Protopis, the senior from Clemens in North Carolina, who began her career in the ACC at Louisville. Got some time a few years back when Maria Cesaretta went down with an injury in 2023. It's actually the 10th member of her family to play collegiate athletics is Protopis. And this NC State team under Gary Higgins looking to try and make the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2022. Tim Santoro had changed the program around when he first got to Raleigh. Had fallen on tough times over the last few years before the change was made. Good ball into the path of NC State's Daisy Duda.
Well, that's the half space area. That's the half space area that they need to get into to face forward and find that little slip ball.
Some subs coming in. Here's how we got to 2-1. Jade Bordeleau. She was the star early in this one.
She certainly was. A good penalty kick taken by her, and it goes under Emerald. This one much better, though, from Bordeleau, taking a touch across, and just a great finish. Then just recycle play, second and third chances. It serves up to the back post from Dawkins, and Ileana Ramirez, just before the half, is able to go up and win the aerial battle to cut the lead.
Hernandez is in for Roberts. Maciotto in for Leidecker. Pack making some substitutions. Direct ball. Protopis way off her line, 10 yards out of the box.
I love that from Protopis. She's got to be able to protect the space behind if they're going to press a little bit higher. Good tackle there. It will give up a corner kick. But if NC State is going to be higher up the field in that moment, Protopis has to figure out her starting position to organize.
In case you're starting to see Wake Forest play a little more direct over the top, trying to get over that NC State back line as opposed to around it. Here's a corner. Good ball, what a save by Protopis to the roof of the net. Oh my goodness.
digs right in, and Kylie Maxwell's completely unmarked. You cannot leave a player of her caliber unmarked, but Olivia Potapis coming up big.
That ball seemed destined for Potapis, keeping the pack ahead.
Well, when you want to secure victories against tough competition, your goalkeeper has to be consistent, but they also have to come up with that save that you don't expect. This is one of those moments. She's actually going the opposite way to her right. Kylie Maxwell doesn't head it down, and she has to redirect it back to her left, and just a wonderful save over the top.
Bordeleau against a trio of Wake defenders. Looking for support for another teammate in red, and finds her. One-time ball. And that's going to miss the mark by a lot. And I think if you ask Daisy Duda, she's going to want that one back.
It looked quite obvious that Daisy Duda looked like she wanted to play that in the path of Mazziato coming through the middle. I don't believe that's a shot opportunity that she's necessarily going for there, just because she's taking the pace off the ball. Jade Bordeleau going 1 versus 3. This is great vision. She realizes she attracts the attention of everyone, and you can see as Mazziato is going through that central channel, a midfielder-type personality like Duda is looking to be that assister in that moment, but I think she could have gone to goal herself.
Wake, who's out shooting NC State 6-3 now in the second half, has really started to come to life and control the tempo of this match. NC State, though, holding on by that goal. And as this game opens up, can they find a third and find a goal that puts away 3 points for the home side? Hernandez was looking for Bordeleau. Just a touch early. Now Scythe to Dawkins. Scythe angling for a cross, sends it in, cleared out.
And so now NC State has to really be good inside their penalty box and their box organization, because they're facing a lot of crosses. Kylie Maxwell is playing a bit more inverted, which we saw a lot earlier in the season, to allow Sierra Scythe to get around the outside channel. And it's hard to deal with as a midfielder in that outside space and a defender. So if those crosses are not going to be stopped, they're going to have to be really touch tight.
On the cross, finding Nakata. Nakata, her left, has a teammate. Oh, and she just mishit it. What a turn here for State. That is excellent for Mazziato. And it's cleaned out there by Dempsey.
And it's Nakata that starts the entire play as well. Aria, so delicate of a touch in midfield under pressure, is able to get out of pressure well, and then finding Mazziato. But just a lot of good technical work from the midfield unit.
Anna Johnson in for Dawkins. Stoppage of play and a stoppage of the clock as the substitutions finish. Duda on the corner towards that back post, headed away. And cleared out of the box by Wake with a deflection. Playing it quickly back into the 18, but nobody in red there. Amaral scoops it.
I like the line of confrontation rotation that NC State is giving, where they're starting their pressure against the Wake Forest possession. It's a little higher. They're sitting Jade Bordeleau quite high outside the penalty box, but it's allowing them to condense space a little bit. What you'll need from your back line is just to make sure if Dempsey Brown and Dean Natali decide to go more direct, they have to read the service to drop and win that battle from the direct ball.
Yeah, Brooke Miller makes an impact. This shot towards the net, right at Amaral.
These are some good matchups in this wide channel because Mary Frances Sims, who started as the right winger, has been playing this left back position in this second half. She's had a tough matchup, but has done well.
Flanagan. What can Wake do with the ball here? Maxwell to Scythe. Cross towards the penalty spot. Now Fairclough, Wake applying pressure, looking for that equalizer. Scythe again, 1v1. Pack does have support. That ball cleared out by Long. Gonna be a throw for Wake.
And they're just continuing to get numbers forward. Sophie Fairclough off that left side, Sierra Scythe, and then that allows Flanagan and Maxwell to get inside with Hannah Johnson. We just saw Hannah Johnson come into the game. She has an aerial presence. She's almost 6 feet tall. She loves to get in the area to get crosses. So they're going to have to stay really touch tight in the box and win those 1v1 battles, NC State, as they start to get this pressure poured on them.
Under 14 minutes to play. Does NC State have a top 25 victory here tonight in Raleigh? Winless in their last 16 matches against ranked foes. Their last one in 2021, the NCAA tournament over USF. Protopis there. Here's our Week 6 ACC and Network Saturday football lineup at noon Eastern. Pitt hosts BC. Then it's Cuse and SMU, and we'll cap the night with a field pass presentation of number 3 Miami and number 18 Florida State. With sideline commentary at 7:30 Eastern. Moments for Wake there as Duda found herself in a collision with Amaral.
Well, these are the risks you're willing to take if you're Wake Forest. You want to get numbers forward. Scythe almost gets back, but then she just has to help it on a little bit. Amaral makes a decision. There's no hesitation. She comes as Duda presses, but Wake Forest will continue to do that. Whether you lose 1 goal or 2 goals doesn't matter. They're going to want numbers forward and just continue to try to create the overloads in the wide area. Out into the wide channels. Flanagan to Johnson. Big target for Wake. Roll out. It'll be a goal kick. Really well done by Alex Moore in that instance. She was in a 1v1 battle with Hannah Johnson and had no cover in that area. Allie Flanagan put her head down to go forward. Just having to deal with those moments should be expected because Wake Forest is going to have to push more and more as you get into the last 10 minutes. So making sure your cover is there, making sure there's no silly fouls, things like that are the types of things you need to go well if you're trying to see out wins.
Sophomore wrestler back in there for the freshman Ramirez. Approaching 11 minutes to play in this.
And keep an eye on Wrestler because she has scored a lot of big goals this year for Wake Forest. And while Kylie Maxwell is taking up a lot of space and attention, she can operate underneath in that half space and tends to clean up opportunities.
Here is Maxwell turning, looking for a teammate on the cross. Follow, too high.
And this is really good in the wide area. Again, it's the 1v1 isolation, no close cover. Sims does well to get a little bit of pressure. Carly Wilson comes up. That run has to be tracked. But what happens is Lidecker is so retreated because there's so much possession. She's already had to come back. She does well to get just enough pressure on Carly Wilson without fouling. It's good defensive effort from the attacking midfielder to get back.
Wilson, the veteran senior from Atlanta, Georgia, playing in her 55th game as a Demon Deacon, had an assist against Duke last week. NC State looking for a third. That's not going to be the cross they're looking for. Sophia Hernandez, 28 on your screen. A junior from Greensboro, North Carolina. Maxwell on that right side, so dangerous. Trying to shake off a defender. Turns. Terrific defending there from Mary Frances Sims. It is a corner, but it could have been worse.
It's an incredible matchup between these two. I've been enjoying watching it this entire second half. Sims has really come in and done a good job off this left side. Kylie Maxwell is just an absolute handful. But what Sims does here, she keeps tight. She doesn't fall for too much and then takes the tackle.
Boy, just blitzing in was Johnson. He got a head on the ball off the corner. And it goes over the bar. As NC State makes another substitution, Roberts back in for a final spell. The junior from St. Petersburg, Florida, who's now started each of the last 8 matches. Came to NC State with Gary Higgins from East Carolina.
And what Gary Higgins is doing is he's rotating Hernandez, he's rotating Robertson, and he doesn't go deep into his bench, but just keeping those legs really fresh, especially in the wide areas, because the outside backs of Brooklyn Holt and Mary Frances Sims, they need that extra help in those areas as Flanagan and Maxwell really look to take on in those wide spaces.
There's a foul. Under 9 to play. Casey, at what point does NC State start to try and find these 3 points and start closing down lanes and sitting back?
I don't think they're going to sit back much more. They may bring their line of confrontation a little bit further back, but if you sit too deep in, then you're only relying on your box organization defensively, and there's a lot of threats with Hannah Johnson, and if Alex Wood comes back in, Flanagan in the air, so you actually want to limit those crosses as much as possible. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gary Higgins asked Duda and Roberts to make sure they get pressure in the wide areas, but stay more compact centrally these last 8 minutes or so to make sure nothing goes down the middle.
Miller does well to win the ball. Wrestler, through ball. Pratapis running out and is able to guide the ball out for a goal, a kick. The college basketball season starts November 3rd, and ACC Network gets you ready with ACC tip-off once again from Charlotte, the conference's annual preseason media days. 8 hours of coverage beginning at 9 a.m. Eastern for 3 straight days. The women are featured Monday and Tuesday morning, and the men Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday. They'll have team previews and interviews with all 36 head coaches and players from each team. You can always watch each day streaming on the all-new ESPN app. NC State will have a throw, but Wake will try and lock them in deep in their defensive third. How about the job Bordeleau does? So strong. Oh, reckless tackle. But Bordeleau stays on her feet.
I like that from Bordeleau because that allows you to build numbers. Not only do you take down the time a little bit, but it's hard to go 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3 to goal. So she decides to take the air out of the game, keep possession, but doesn't go backwards, and now they are able to draw the foul.
Casey thought that Brown might get sacked for the late challenge there from behind on Bordeleau.
If you can see my face, if they can see my face, it was definitely a bit of a harsh challenge here. Bordeleau cuts right in front. There's no effort to get the ball in that moment because it's just so late. But give credit to Bordeleau for going inside, cutting the angle, and it really was a desperation tackle from Dempsey Brown.
Under 7 to play in Raleigh. NC State looking for a stunning 3 points over 12th ranked Wake Forest. With the free kick into that box. But if you've been watching the Pack over the last month, there's nothing surprising about this effort. It's been coming. They have made so many elite teams sweat here this season, including Notre Dame and Florida State. Could the Pack finally have 3 points on the horizon for Gary Higgins in what would be a program-defining win early in his tenure? Casey, it's going to be a long 6 minutes and change here for the Pack.
You don't have to tell Gary Higgins that. He's had a lot of them come down to the wire, some in his favor, some not. But I'll tell you what, I want to point out Jade Bordeleau, and I know Gary Higgins knows this about her game, but the more you watch her, it's not just her finishing, it's not just her pressing, but even earning that corner kick of understanding pressure of, I'm not going to go to goal, I'm just going to outplay my 1v1 battle and earn some time for my team to breathe, things like that. She just shows her experience, and that's what's so helpful in these types of moments where you're trying to game manage.
Ramirez in for Wilson for the Demon Deacons. And Bordeleau, who's been a star tonight.
Well, this is a substitution. That's an offensive substitution. Carly Wilson has had a very good game, but she plays more in that lower double pivot role of the holding midfielder. Ileana Ramirez is more of an attacking. So Dawkins will kind of hang underneath. Excuse me, not Dawkins. Brooke Miller will hang underneath for getting that wrong. And Ileana Ramirez and Lola Wrestler will be a little bit higher. So now they're going to have almost 5 players centrally going towards goal and looking for those crosses.
Wake Forest team beaten just once this season, looking for their 10th win. If they can find a goal here, they have drawn 2 other times. NC State, who's unbeaten in their last 3 contests, looking for a huge 3rd victory of the year and a 2nd ACC victory. Wake has been into the 18-yard box. It'll be now 23 times in this half alone, Casey. They have really put on a blitz. Here's a corner, trying to Kropratopis, shot off the crossbar. It was that close. close for the Deacons.
You can feel it. You can feel that they've been in the 18-yard box so much more in this second half. It's just it's not deceiving at all that they've really put that extra effort of getting numbers forward.
Wake 5-0 on the year without shooting its opponent. Out shooting NC State 13-9 currently. So that perfect mark is in doubt. Here, 4 minutes and change left. Does Wake have one last gasp? Big time shot, but Protopis had her near post covered.
And this was the initial opportunity here, and then Dempsey Brown can't connect with it much better than that. Goes right off the crossbar. She can't believe it. A wonderful save initially by Protopis, and this ball was just absolutely crushed on frame, and just a couple inches separates it.
6 second half saves for Protopis. Chasing after Sims. Under 3 to play. Roberts. Flag goes up.
Well, I actually thought Judah might just be slowing it down, and I said for a freshman, that's real smart because you want to go to goal, but then the flag does go up offside. But a good ball to spring into that outside channel. Those kind of decisions are going to be important these last 2.5 minutes for NC State to make Wake Forest chase away from their attacking end.
Well, Tony DeLuise talked about how hard it is to get results in this league. NC State with a brand new head coach, Gary Higgins, proving that point here tonight. Deacons, though, trying to look for the equalizer. Protopis punches it away. Should be a corner, and it is for Wake. 2 minutes to go. Seven saves tonight for Protopis. Scythe. Corner. 6-yard box header just misses that far post.
That's exactly why Hannah Johnson is in there, because she is such a threat aerially. She goes and finds the ball. That's what the best headers do. You don't necessarily have to have the height, but it helps, and she meets it perfectly, gets it down. Just the accuracy, just a little bit off. Protopis looks like she might have that far post covered, but that one was incredibly close from the center forward.
Johnson, who has 2 goals in her last 3 games against Duke and against Virginia Tech. But here's Bordeleau.
Smart.
We'll take it toward that corner flag. Here's
this is where you want to, this is where you want to end it if you're NC State, though. You don't want them being able to go forward, so you got to put in a tackle as early up on the field as possible to not allow transition.
$60 seconds left for Wake. That ball takes a deflection. Anxious moments for Tony DeLuise and the 12th ranked Demon Deacons. Oh, here comes Amaral out of her net into the box. Clock continues to tick. Service towards that back post. Amaral there, crunched. 27 seconds. Fair cloth again. That takes a deflection. And cleared away. 20 seconds to go. deflection. It'll be NC State's throw. Wake looking for one final chance. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. And NC State, it's been coming for Gary.